The story begins inside a massive alien arena built for fear and death, a place where countless species have been forced to fight for the entertainment of the Dominion, a cruel alien empire that rules much of the galaxy through violence and public displays of power. And on this day, the arena is full, loud, and hungry for blood as a human prisoner named Elias Rourke is dragged into the center, chained, bruised, and clearly outnumbered. Because humans are new to the Dominion and already known as weak, fragile, and easily broken after Earth was invaded and crushed only months ago. And the aliens expect nothing more than another quick execution to remind the galaxy that resistance is pointless. But Elias is not screaming or begging like many before him. Instead, he stands straight despite his wounds, his eyes calm and sharp, remembering his past as a human marine who fought in the final defense of Earth's space stations, remembering friends lost and cities burned. And this quiet anger inside him is what the aliens fail to see, because the fight begins when a Craxian Blade Master steps forward, a towering creature with 4 arms and a long history of killing champions from other worlds. And the Blade Master decides to end the fight instantly by throwing a knife, a weapon known across the arena as a perfect killing tool that has never missed and never been stopped. And the crowd roars as the blade cuts through the air at impossible speed, aimed directly at Elias's heart, and in that moment time seems to slow, not because of technology, but because Elias has faced death before, in space, in fire, and in silence, and instead of dodging or falling back like the aliens expect, he moves forward and catches the knife with his bare hand, the metal slicing his skin, blood spilling onto the arena floor. But the blade stops, fully stopped, and the sound of metal hitting flesh echoes across the arena as the crowd goes silent, shocked by something they have never seen, and Elias closes his fingers around the weapon and looks up at the Blade Master. Not afraid, not confused, but steady and focused. And that look alone sends a strange feeling through the watching aliens, something close to fear. And before anyone can react, Elias throws the knife back with simple strength and perfect aim. Not fancy, not dramatic, just deadly, and the blade strikes the Blade Master through the eye, killing it instantly as its massive body crashes to the ground. And the arena erupts into chaos with screams, cheers, and confusion mixing together. Because this was not supposed to happen, because humans were supposed to be weak. And high above the arena in the royal viewing chamber, Overlord Vethrix watches the replay again and again, slowing it down, studying every movement, every breath, and realizing this was not luck or accident but skill and training. And for the first time since the Dominion began its conquests, he feels concern. Because if one human can do this, then others might be capable of far more. And while the crowd continues to roar below, something begins to change beyond the arena walls as human prisoners across the planet hear what happened. Whispers spreading through cells and labor camps. Stories passing from mouth to mouth, growing stronger with each telling. Because Elias did not just win a fight. He broke an image. He showed that humans could stand, could resist, and could strike back, and that single moment becomes a spark, lighting something long buried under fear and loss, a spark of hope. And by the time the arena lights dim and the body is dragged away, the Dominion believes they have gained a new champion for entertainment. But in truth they have made their first great mistake, because they have shown the galaxy that humanity is not finished, not broken, and not afraid to bleed if it means surviving. And that moment, the moment a human caught a knife meant to kill him, becomes the first crack in the Dominion's power, even though they do not yet understand it. After Elias survived the arena and killed the Craxian Blade Master, the human prisoners began to see him not just as a fighter, but as a symbol of hope. And this hope spread quietly at first through whispered conversations in dark corridors, through subtle gestures and small acts of defiance, As other humans, some former soldiers, some workers, some farmers and engineers began to remember skills, training, and knowledge they had thought lost. And slowly, carefully, they started preparing for something that no one thought possible: rebellion. On the prison moon of Carville, humans like Maya Chun, a clever mechanic, and Jonah Reyes, a skilled pilot, worked quietly to bend the tools around them into weapons, reroute power, and find ways to communicate without the Dominion noticing, while prisoners shared information about guard patterns, supply lines, and security weaknesses, learning from each other in a way that no alien had anticipated. And the Dominion, distracted by the arena spectacle and overconfident in their control, did not notice the first small successes of sabotage: the way lights flickered, doors malfunctioned, or alarms failed at critical moments, all orchestrated by humans who had survived the worst of the war and understood that the only way to live was to fight. And Elias became the heart of this resistance, a figure whose presence inspired others to act boldly. Because if one human could face Akraxian and survive, others could face guards, ships, and armies. And the rebellion began to grow, turning simple acts of survival into coordinated strikes, moving from small skirmishes inside the prison to seizing control of entire transport ships as humans overpowered their captors, taking not just weapons but command systems and navigation cores. And with each success their confidence grew, spreading like wildfire from moon to moon, ship to ship, until their defiance was no longer secret and signals were sent out into space to Earth, to the hidden survivors who had been hiding, rebuilding, and waiting for any sign that humanity still lived. And when the message reached Earth, even the battered and broken remnants of civilization responded immediately, gathering old ships, reinforcing defenses, preparing fighters, and rallying civilians to the cause, as humans who had once thought themselves powerless suddenly realized they were not. And they were ready to strike back, while the Dominion, still convinced that humans were fragile and submissive, underestimated the scope of the uprising, believing it was nothing more than isolated revolts, not a coordinated human resistance capable of overwhelming their supply lines, raiding their stations, and striking fear into alien fleets. And the humans' first major attack near Orion's grave proved this, as a small fleet of damaged ships jumped into enemy space, moving recklessly, unpredictably, but with precise knowledge of the alien tactics. And despite losing some vessels, they managed to destroy key supply stations, capture resources, and escape with minimal losses, proving that human cunning, improvisation, and adaptability were as deadly as any weapon the Dominion could muster. And the stories of their victories traveled faster than the humans themselves, reaching other enslaved worlds, alien systems, and human survivors across the galaxy, turning a single act of courage into a rallying cry that inspired fear and respect simultaneously. And while humans learned quickly and adapted to alien technology and patterns, the Dominion struggled to maintain control, often finding themselves outmaneuvered, ambushed, and outwitted by humans who seemed to thrive in chaos, risk, and impossible odds, because humanity, though battered and scattered, refused to be predictable. And Elias became the central figure in this growing rebellion, not just as a fighter, but as a strategist, leader, and symbol, leading missions that liberated more prisoners, captured more ships, and spread fear among alien forces, while Maya Chun and Jonah Reyes became essential to the operations, using their knowledge of mechanics and piloting to turn captured enemy technology into tools for rebellion, as the humans worked tirelessly, day and night, teaching others to fight, survive, and overcome. And soon the Dominion realized that keeping Elias alive had been a mistake, because instead of breaking human spirits, He had shown them that they could rise, plan, and fight as one. And when the first large Dominion fleet was spotted heading toward Seoul to crush the uprising, the humans were ready, having transformed from scattered survivors into a coordinated, determined, and fierce fighting force capable of taking the fight to the aliens even in space. Using bold tactics, boarding maneuvers, and unpredictable attacks, all while remaining loyal to each other and driven by the memory of lost worlds and the desire to protect what remained. And as the final confrontation approached, the humans knew that they were risking everything, but also that the chance to reclaim their freedom and show the galaxy that humanity could not be defeated was worth every risk. And so they prepared, trained, and strategized, ensuring that when they finally met the Dominion in battle again, they would not just survive, they would strike back with every ounce of ingenuity, courage, and determination they had because Elias had shown them the way. And now every human prisoner, soldier, pilot, and survivor was ready to follow that example into what would become a war that no alien could have predicted. A war where humans would rise against overwhelming odds and prove that even the smallest, weakest-seeming species could become the deadliest when driven by hope, resilience, and the memory of what they had lost. The final part of the story begins with the humans preparing for the most important battle of their lives, gathering their ships, crews, and fighters near Earth, hiding among wreckage, asteroid fields, and damaged stations, knowing that the Dominion fleet waiting for them was massive, powerful, and ruthless, and that if they failed, humanity could be wiped out completely. Yet despite the fear, there was determination in every human heart because they had already survived against impossible odds and proven that they could adapt, improvise, and fight back. And when the Dominion fleet arrived, stretching across space like a wall of steel, the humans waited silently for the right moment, letting the enemy believe that they were weak, disorganized, and vulnerable. But in truth, every ship, pilot, and fighter had been trained for this, and every tactic, every maneuver, every move had been planned and tested in simulations and small skirmishes. And when the signal came, the humans launched their attack, charging toward the enemy with reckless courage that masked their precise coordination. Explosions lighting the void as ships weaved through fire, dodged energy blasts, and struck at weak points in alien vessels, while boarding teams, led by Elias, cut through hulls, fought alien soldiers, and took over command centers, turning the Dominion's own ships against them, and the battle was chaos. Brutal and close, with ships colliding, weapons firing at point-blank range, and humans fighting in vacuum with nothing but their courage and ingenuity, showing the aliens that humanity's strength was not just in technology, but in their ability to think, adapt, and keep fighting even when all seemed lost. And as the fighting raged, Elias and his team infiltrated the Dominion's orbital command spire, a massive structure that controlled the fleet, knowing that destroying it would cripple the alien forces. And inside, the corridors were filled with fire, broken machinery, and the bodies of both humans and aliens. Yet Elias pressed forward, leading his team through obstacles that would have stopped lesser fighters. His mind focused, his body bruised, bleeding, and exhausted, and at last, they reached the core where Overlord Vethrix waited, towering, armored, and confident that the human before him was nothing more than an insect to be crushed. And the confrontation that followed was violent, fast, and intense, with Elias dodging energy blades, countering attacks with whatever weapons he could find, striking with precision, and using his knowledge of combat and alien patterns to survive, while Vethrix's strength and skill pushed Elias to his limits, testing his endurance, courage, and determination. And despite the pain, despite the fatigue, Elias refused to yield, driven by the memory of Earth, the fallen, and the future he wanted to protect, and when Vethric struck with a deadly blow meant to end him, Elias caught the alien's blade just as he had caught the knife in the arena, and used the same principle of focus, timing, and precision to turn the weapon against its master, piercing Vethric's and ending his life instantly, causing the command spire to collapse in flames. Explosions rippling across space as the Dominion fleet lost coordination, their ships faltering, retreating, or being destroyed. And the humans, seeing their chance, struck with full force, pushing the aliens back, claiming victory after victory in a battle that had seemed impossible before. And although many human ships were lost and many brave fighters fell, the majority survived, and Elias, bloodied, broken, but alive, watched from the remains of the command spire as Earth came into view, battered but still standing. Knowing that humanity had survived not just because of technology or numbers, but because of courage, resilience, and the refusal to surrender, while his friends and allies, including Maya Chen and Jonah Reyes, worked to stabilize ships, rescue the wounded, and ensure that the survivors could return safely. And as they looked toward the planet, the weight of the battle and the cost of freedom settled on them. Yet even in that moment of exhaustion and grief, there was pride, hope, and relief, because they had faced impossible odds and prevailed. And across the galaxy, news of the humans' victory spread like wildfire, sending fear into the Dominion and respect among other species, who realized that humans could not be underestimated, defeated, or broken. And that moment, the moment when one human caught a knife meant to kill him, had become the symbol of a species that refused to fall, fought when others thought they could not, and rose stronger after every defeat, proving to the universe that humanity was resilient, resourceful, and unstoppable. And as the survivors returned to Earth to begin rebuilding, treating the wounded and reclaiming what had been lost, they understood that the battle had not just been about survival, but about showing the galaxy that humans, no matter how small or battered, could stand against any enemy, and that their courage, ingenuity, and unity were weapons more powerful than fleets, more dangerous than armies, and more enduring than fear. And in that truth lay the legacy of Elias Rourke, of Maya Chen, Jonah Reyes, and every human who had refused to give up, because they had fought, bled, and survived, and the Dominion, and the rest of the galaxy, would never forget the lesson taught in blood, fire, and courage. Humans do not break, humans rise, and when challenged, humans fight with everything they have, making the impossible possible, and leaving a lasting mark on the stars themselves.